Hello and welcome to the Freelancers Tea Break, the short and sweet podcast you can enjoy whilst you're making a cuppa. I'm your host, Emma Cossey, and this is the podcast for anyone who is already freelance or is thinking about going freelance. Hello and welcome back to another episode. So this week we're going to be talking about how to follow up after a discovery call without getting the ick. This came as a result of a business lounge call where one of the members was asking, how do you follow up or chase up after you've had a discovery call? And it can feel really icky. It can feel a bit like you're chasing for it, or it just brings up some icky feelings sometimes. And it was really good to have the discussion in the call because, as a lot of people mentioned, actually when people chase them, as long as it's done the right way, it can be seen as a gift, like, oh, thank you so much for reminding me, I totally forgot, or oh, I've been meaning to come back to you, thank you for the nudge. But it does depend on how you do it. So I thought I'd share some of the ways that I follow up after a discovery call that isn't sort of pushy or manipulative or anything like that. It's just basically saying, just checking in. So the first thing I would say is actually before you even send any details after the discovery call, when you're in the discovery call, if they sound like they're interested, what you can do is you can say, what I'll do is I'll send you some details after this in an email. And if you're okay with that, I will also drop you a follow-up email next Wednesday, for example, to check in if you've got any questions. So then that already sets the expectation that you will check in on Wednesday, just see if they've got any questions. So it doesn't feel forced or stressful. It gives you some accountability to do that. And it just becomes a lot more gentle. Now, some people also like to book in a follow-up call. I don't tend to like to do that. It doesn't feel very comfortable for me. But there have been occasions where I've also said to people, and here's my Voxer if you'd like to ask any questions about this in the meantime, because some people are better at sending sort of verbal messages rather than sitting down and replying to emails. I am terrible at emails, so I can understand that. So yeah, the first step is basically set the expectation and accountability in the call that you will follow up. But by just saying, I'll just check in with you, see if you have any questions, that doesn't feel like pushy or anything like that. It just feels like a natural part of the process. My second tip is don't worry about doing a long email. You can literally just reply to the email and just say, hi, hope you're well, hope you've had a good week. I'm just checking in to see if you've got any questions. Would love to chat further, or if there's anything you want clarifying. It doesn't have to be super stressful. It can just be a 1 or 2 line sentence. If you know them well on socials, you could send them a DM, but I do prefer to keep it to emails for this kind of thing, or as I mentioned, Voxer, just because I think people can feel like they're being chased on socials if you haven't gone back to them on an email, and it can feel a bit icky, which is what we're trying to avoid. So we've got the part 1, which is prepare it in the call that you're going to follow up with them. Part 2, which is that keeping it short and simple so it's not so stressful. And ideally, save that as a template because it makes your life easier. And then 3 is a magic email that Sally Farrant, who is a fantastic member of my community, and she has a pricing calculator. She has some really great tools on her website, so I highly recommend you go check that out. Sally, years ago, shared with us an email template that she sends out to people to follow up if they haven't come back to you. So say that you've sent the first email after the discovery call with the details of how they can book on. You've sent the second email checking in, and then you've heard nothing. She sends this email, and I know a few others have tried it and got really good results. So I'm going to read it out to you. And this is the bare bones, so you might want to soften the language or change it up a bit. But she said, hi, whoever it is, I haven't heard back from you on project/opportunity, so I'm going to assume that you've gone in a different direction or your priorities have changed. Let me know if I can be of assistance in the future. Regards. So you can change up the language a bit, but essentially what that does quite often is if they're not interested, they won't reply. If they are interested but they haven't got around to replying or anything like that, they will come back so quick because it's almost like you've created a deadline for them. And it's a really effective template, which if you read the blog, I'll put it in there as well. So you can use that. But it's a really useful tool that Sally shared with us, and I really appreciate it because I've used it before as well. And it doesn't feel icky or aggressive. It just feels like absolutely fine if it's not for you, or if you decide not to move forward, let's put a full stop on it. But usually they will then come back if they've already shown interest and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, this happened or this happened. Let's book in. So that's basically 3 ways that you can follow up without it feeling icky. Preparing on the call for that follow up so it doesn't feel like you're suddenly pushing it out of nowhere. Making it short and simple so you don't have to feel like you have to create some long email every single time. And then the third email, which is, it might be the third or fourth email, depending on how your relationship is, just saying, are we done? Basically. So I hope that's useful. I know it isn't always the easiest thing to do to follow up, but so many people lose business by not following up because we just assume that people remember to do it. And so many things happen and there's so many things going on. And a follow-up can really help somebody just nudge something to the top of the list without being one of those awful cheesy emails. I get so many at the moment, which are just like cold messages and they keep bumping that message up to the top of your inbox. It's okay to follow up or chase up a little bit if they're a warm lead and they've already shown interest and they got in contact with you. That is totally okay to check in and chase up them. So I'd love to know if you found any useful tricks as well. Do come over to the Facebook group or the Discord group. Both of them are free, and they're both a great place to share those kind of tips. Or come find me on Instagram and tell me all about it and I will share it, or we can chat a bit more. And if you need any more coaching on things like this, please do get in touch. I've been updating my website recently. So freelancelifestyle.co.uk, you'll be able to find lots of bits in there that might be useful. I hope you have a wonderful freelance week.